This is our raffle bike that we were promising when we got caught up there in all that bad weather and other happenings with a corrupt system I'm dealing with right now. That's the raffle bike. You're going to get to hear it fire for the very first time. I just turned the fuel on. I'm one of those guys that constantly forgets that little detail. I really like getting on these little puppies. Like I said, I dread getting on a Harley anymore. It's heavy as hell, and you can't yank them and pull them around like you can these little gems. And I also have something here to go over while the cat's trying to pull my pants off again on video. Um, I'm going to bring this stuff over. I set the camera away a little bit. For you people that wonder what type of plug to replace with, the first thing you have to know about that bike is after you've run it with a real cloudy, real oily fuel, after a couple weeks, replace the spark plug. It tends to weaken the electrode. It just corrodes it. The bike will run a hell of a lot better. This is one of Matt's favorite plugs and one of my plugs. This is actually one he gave me with an order. I either buy the 710 or this E3. This is another nifty plug that, especially with Matt's heads, these actually work a hell of a lot better than this plug does in his heads. In the Fred's heads, the NGK, for some reason, they work a little bit better. You want to be the star of the show again. Get on it and ride it for me. The 710 is actually my favorite flavor in NGK. I really hadn't encountered the 5510 yet. Matt sent that to me in the order. And the E3 3.10. Those are very good two-cycle plugs. This is the third and last engine with the bad wrist pin and bearing. As you can see, this has very little movement, and it's fairly free after I played with it. I really don't know why this would actually be binding up, but you have the marks and you have the evidence right there, not just from the exhaust port, but something drastically went wrong with this piston. So we're going to replace it, and we're going to replace it with the stuff, one of my pistons, which are in the shop there, and one of my jugs. Those are a substantially heavier engine. I don't know why that engine went so south the way it did, but I had 3 of them here in a row. Manufacturers, they make a run of things with bad parts. It happens. It's mass production. They buy cases of those engines. They cost about $40 with the gas tank and all the other little trinkets they give you. So if you buy a pallet of them, I don't know how many you have to buy, but you get a certain amount of money. I just bought 7 bottom ends, and I got a hell of a deal on them. I just rather have the bottom ends and make my own top ends because I'm tired of fooling around with the parts on the internet. They're a little pricey, even my stuff is, but I prefer to have an engine together. I'm afraid this war is going to kick off and we're not going to be able to get anything in the future here. I'm going to run the raffle bike, and this is the way I'm going to work things. You have to call me. I'll write my shop number down, or I'll show you the sign out front there, and you can ping me on the YouTube. $20 a ticket. Okay, towards the end of the summer here, somebody's going to win that little gem. So I want you guys to get that $20 bill you always say you don't have. Get it out, and you can get this bike if it runs. This is a very nice bike. I'm going to set the camera actually a different way. I'm going to roll right up here to a stop when hopefully it runs. Now, that's the difference in engines and the difference in technology in the parts. That's going to be a sweet running. Whoever wins this, that runs sweet already. Wow, I can't believe that. That had a lot of. Usually they don't have much guts when you fire them up, but that had a lot of guts. So whoever wins this is going to have themselves something. That gets me to the last segment, and I'll take you up to the sign if you want the phone number to actually call. We're going to make a ticket up. You can use PayPal to pay me. No, you're not seeing double. That's the fourth bike I built because I lie to people. I tell them there's not another one. When they think they're going to run this bike, I actually bring that one to race. That was another bike I found in the trash. It was just about brand new, except for the bent back rim and stuff. And I changed the front fork around off of another junk bike I bought, and I ended up with that bike. But the frame is nice and low, and for wrecking around, we're going to change the seat and fix that up, and we got to change that. I hate them kickstands. I favor these the M-Wave, the kickstands. So for you guys that are into performance, and no, these wires aren't taped up, and I got to play with the wiring on that bike and hook up the off switch. I keep my wiring exposed on my bike in case I have to test something, but a lot of the bikes I'll put some tape on it, or I'll just I'll bungee it down here with the nylon ties. So for those of you, I loaned this bike out to a friend, and he kind of trashed left it out. I was kind of ticked off about it because that bike really runs sweet. There's no sweeter running bike than that one. It really just does go like hell. I've been having problems with the intakes too, especially the BR tuning. Once that little grommet, that little washer on the end of the intake manifolds goes away, so does the performance, especially if you switch the carbs out. I've had very few carburetor manifold failures, but every now and then I have a bike in there, which is the guy that actually borrowed this one, his bike. I have not been able to get a decent SHA carburetor, and now I think it's part of the intake manifold has the trouble. It's springtime, even though in between the raindrops. That's the guy you want to call for motorized bicycles if you want an entire bicycle put together. There's nothing greater than one of these bikes, especially if it's put together right. For you guys that say I can get the same thing for $200 or $300 on eBay, you go try that. You go do it. Especially making mounts. This one I said we had trouble. I carved out the mount. I'm hoping this camera gets shadow angles. Today it's not real sunny, so we're not going to get a shadow angle out of this. But right there you can see, you can carve out the mount. I made my own mount. Yes, they do nick up the bikes a little bit. That's a really nice bike. And somebody will get a lot of years out of that and have a lot of fun with it. So we're going to put our name on it now, just like the other one. I'm actually going to go down and I'm going to introduce you people to Matt. Today I'm going to make the video. I don't know if I'll get it uploaded today. I'm going to try to upload this one because I want somebody to win this bike. There's a difference in parts, and there's also knowledge to put it together because there's a lot of aesthetics, different sealers, different things I use that doesn't come with the engine and other guys don't use. Also, like, I see a lot of guys, they run barehanded. I've had these bikes surge from brand new. I've gotten power surges out of them. They just literally took out from underneath me, and it's nothing I've done. It's just it's a queer characteristic. I think it's the fuels up here in the Northeast, because I know a lot of other guys down south, they don't really have that trouble, but I have had guys up here say, Jesus, that bike took out from underneath me. It has happened to me twice. One time it was a pretty severe injury. I'm getting all kinds of boo-boos. As a kid, I used to bounce off things like Superman. It doesn't happen anywhere like that at my age. If you get a throttle surge like that, don't try to save the bike. Try to save yourself. The bike can be fixed. 9 chances out of 10 you'll pick it up. There won't be that much wrong with it. But if you try to save that bike and ride that bike, you could end up into something or another automobile or something nearby that you didn't think. When you run the bikes for the first time, that's why I have that. I love that wide open space I have out there, because there's plenty of times, like I said, that the bike it's acted queer, odd. Some of these bikes have phenomenons to them, especially that power surge. I don't know if the gas leaks down or whatever, because I always turn my gas off and on. You might get the cylinder loaded up with fuel or something. I'm really not sure the times that it did happen to me, exactly what I did and didn't do. I'm just saying it's a characteristic when you assemble the bike. And the last, like I said, the tip I gave you with those spark plugs is every year change your spark plug. I even change it twice a year. I change it midsummer, just for the hell of it, just to keep the bike. My bike's been running sweet ever since I put it together. Just like this one will stay together. Whoever gets it, if you don't wreck around with it, let it out in the rain and do stupid stuff with it. The guy that spends $20 on it might not spend the money like a guy would full price on a bike. If that's the way you want to treat it, that's a little piece of history right there. That was built here. It was made with a lot of love. I take a lot of pride in my work. So there you go. If you want to end up with an engine like that out of the kit box, I just got another one in on the workbench. A girl brought it here. I don't know if it's her son's or her husband yet. I don't know who Jimmy is. There's one that just came through the door again. Same thing. She said the back wheel of the bike was locking up. She said they saw my video. I like people when they pay attention to my videos. It says something. That scoring on that piston, that tells you the whole story. That piston was not riding right in that cylinder, no doubt. What could we have done differently? I don't know. I don't know. But all I know is the bearings that I did get, the wrist pins that I did get, and my piston, it fit like a glove, and that thing runs like a rocket now. And that's with my parts. And I also stock the PK80 piston, so if you want a PK80 piston, I have them. There's other places that have them, but I have the pistons that work. I ordered some inventory off of Matt, and I have some of my own. Either are comparable. This piston is actually, this is the one that's bent. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but these are not true where they line up in the wrist. You have to struggle to get the wrist pin through here, and to get that through the bearing, it's deformed. So there is something wrong, a deformity, casting flaw. I don't know what happened, what went wrong. All I know is when we cut them on the laser jet machine, they turn out awesome. There it is. I'll upload this video, and if you want to call the phone number on that sign and take the spark plug hint there. 20 thousandths of a gap seems to work for me. I even go a little bit wider on the doctor there. For some reason, that bike will tolerate a bigger spark plug gap. I really don't know what it is or why it is, but some of the magnetos and the CDIs put out, I guess, maybe a little bit better, hotter spark. Remember, the wider you go, the more spark you get, but all of a sudden it can go away. So I wouldn't go past 25 thousandths. I'm in between 25 and 30. I believe I'm about 28 thousandths on that, on the gap. Sometimes the bike won't run unless they have about a 15 thousandths gap. So it's kind of asinine and ludicrous to try to predict. You have to play with those things, because the bike might four-cycle and it might run like a turkey, and then you put one of these NGK plugs in. There's been a mystery what spark plugs to run in these bikes, because they come either with the Chinese writing on them or they don't come with any writing at all. Matter of fact, I wanted to show you one of those. Sorry about that. I also have a plug that doesn't have any writing, but this says Z4. They come with all kinds of queer Chinese, or they don't come. There's a black one in there. It has no markings on it at all. That's the one that they brought with the engine, thinking that the plug was bad. I don't know why they just didn't bring me the bike, why they just brought me the engine, but they want me to, I guess, go over it and read. She said if the price is right, they're going to have me just rebuild the engine. They said there's something wrong with it. Well, I'm going to build a stand here where I'm actually going to be able to run them. And I'm also going to build a bike stand here so I can get these bikes up off the ground. You can't trust the Chinese because you don't know what the hell you're getting from them. So that's why you pay attention to these videos, because this stuff is important. It's what makes the bike run. These plugs are way too light. They don't have a copper core. I don't know what they have in them, but it's not copper. I really don't know what. I have to actually, I'm going to cut this plug apart and find out what kind of core. It should be copper and tritium. There's also iridium plugs, which are really expensive. I know this is something cheap because this does not pass the spark like that NGK plug will. So take that to heart when you say your bike is running crappy or there's something wrong with it. It could be as simple as that spark plug. If it starts and it runs but it doesn't run up to snuff, play with those plugs and also play with the plug gap before you start playing with carburetors and jetting and everything like that. The simple answer could be a spark plug. That E3, this has the split gap, and that really throws a hell of a hot spark, and it really ignites. So a lot of bikes that I've had that have constantly cycled after the braking period, this was the answer. And then some of those carburetors, I've actually jetted them, and they actually tolerated more fuel. As you can see, this one was burning just about perfect. That's the color you want. The other E3 that I have in there on the workbench was a little on the gray side, so the bike was running lean and it was cycling, so it was not getting enough fuel. The color of your spark plug, if it's too gray, it's very lean. If it's too dark and it's black and it seems like it's moist, you could either have too much oil in your mix or it's just dumping too much fuel. A lot of guys make the lighter from altitude and different things where you live. The gasolines are also blended different, so it's not just altitude. There's a culmination of things. In order to dial an engine in where you live, you really have to play with the plug and the jetting on the carburetor if it's running fruity on you. Some people don't want a lot of power out of the bike. That's going to be a powerhouse regardless. That's worth winning. Some people don't want a bike that goes really fast. They just want to get around, chase the grandkids in the neighborhood. I've sold people a few bikes like that. That's going to be something, and you contact Harley B and you can win that. I've replaced the shifters on it. There's new shifters. The ones actually, they're going to get drilled in place. I'm not fond of those short handlebars like that. They tend to get against things. I like a handlebar with a little bit more curvature, like on my bikes. They're really wide, and I stay out of places where I'm not supposed to go, and with a lot of posts and fences and a lot of cars. I tend to ride in open areas with my bikes, but I like that. I like this wide handlebar because you can really muscle the bike around if you get in tight terrain or something like that. I go off-road because he has enough power to go up and down hills like this bike will. You can put different handlebars on it if you get it. You can make it look like more like a motorcycle, get a rack, saddlebags. I've seen these bikes decked out up near the lake. People were buying them. I'm going to go up there and try to hustle a few of my bikes off to people. So that's the Harley B video, and that's the Raffle bike, and it's perfect. I'm going to finish the wiring on it, and we're going to be done with our day, and we're going to go down to Matt and make the machine shop video, and I can show you where we do all of our hocus pocus tricks. I think you're going to like that. Thanks.